Oh, I gotta share it.
Coach D,
Hey, Emron, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. How are you?
All right.
Yeah,
First,
go.
first, I want to apologize. I'm just trying to share our stuff. I'm sorry. Oh man, turn this down.
No, no, no
First, I want to
problem.
apologize. What we want to do, obviously, every week we want to have a current player, a WNBA player, a previous player, a retired player, and obviously that's my job. And with all the things I do, I didn't jump on it like I was supposed to, but we're gonna get this right, Imran. We're gonna get this right. We're gonna have somebody on every week so we could have our things go out there and just talk the basics of basketball. So I want to apologize to you for that.
Oh no, no problem, man. I know everybody's busy. Everyone has
Yeah.
things going on, and we try our best, and we see what the results are. So it's no problem, and it's
Okay.
still an honor to have for me, it's so honor to have you, and we can discuss quite a bit just between the two of us.
Absolutely.
So I think we wanted to keep this episode a little bit brief, Coach D, and wanted to talk about the basics, right? And when we say the basics, what we mean is, okay, for example, you're coaching kids, I'm coaching kids,
Mm-hmm.
we're teaching basketball, and I
Mm-hmm.
think we talked about this once before that everyone's fallen in love with the way the Golden State Warriors play, and now you see, Luka Doncic on the Mavericks and all these
Mm-hmm.
different guys who are very dynamic and can do many things, and the kids have forgotten about some of the basics. So when we talk about the basics of offense and defense and teaching, let's put a persona on this. Let's say we're coaching high school kids
Mm-hmm.
um, who are very passionate and enthused about basketball, but they're missing some of the basics. So on the
Mm-hmm.
offensive side, what are some of the things you would teach them? So let's forget about shooting the ball at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about like what are certain things we can work on them with.
First of all, you don't even have to shoot. It's ball movement, trust, ball movement, and trust. Because you have to trust your teammates.
Okay.
You can't take things into your own hands. And by you trusting your teammates, that goes with ball movement. Think
Mm.
about it. If I don't trust him, I always use this analogy with kids. Okay, if you're going on a 3-on-1 break and you have LeBron James on one side and JaVale McGee on the other side, who are you giving the ball to? They say LeBron. I
Right.
say why?
Mm.
They say because he's a great finisher. I
Mm.
say, what do you call that?
Mm.
Trust. Okay, but if two players are on LeBron, would you give him the ball? The kids still say yes. They do because it's LeBron James. But
Mm.
that's where you stop them and say the basketball play is to give it to the open guy
Mm.
because the open man, woman, whoever, is going to make the shot easier. Yes, it's LeBron James. Yes, it could be Kobe. Yes, it could be Hakeem Olajuwon. But the right basketball play is if you trust the person who has the same uniform as you on, you can't go wrong. So to me, trust and ball movement is a lot with offense.
What are some things you work on with your young guys in terms of ball movement?
What I do is, I don't know if I should reveal this, but I will.
Yeah, don't reveal some. I mean, I would say put it this way: don't reveal anything that's part of your secret sauce, but reveal some generic stuff that you've seen maybe others do, or some basic things that people do for ball movement.
Okay, what I do is I call it it's a closeout drill where you have all right. So closeout drill. So let's say you have picture a key, right? So you have a player at the wing, a player at the top, and a player at the other wing, right? So you have three players, right? And you have two defenders.
Hmm.
Okay. So what you do is, I'm a person, I get this from the NBA where everything to me is timed with the clock. So I have my scoreboard there, and I'll say, look, ball movement. This team on 3, on 2, and you just whip the ball, right? And it shows them who to give it to, the open person, because remember, it's only 2 defenders. So I'll put like 15 seconds on the clock, and I'll have them move the ball, and you have to get the best shot. And the defenders, it's like a guessing game. And that's how you become trusting your players, because of course you're going to have the guys who look at the clock with 3 seconds left and want to shoot the ball. That's not trust.
Mm.
That's not trust. Even if it's the worst shooter on the team, if he's open, you have to trust that he's going to be able to hit the shot. And the reason why I'm saying that is because the best players are going to be guarded.
Mm.
So it's a good drill because you have the guys run at them, and then they just whip the ball. So the defender's going this way, the defender's going that way. So somebody's going to be open. And mind you, the clock is going. So it's whip, shot. Kids love that drill.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand. I'm visualizing this
Go
because
ahead.
I can't see you on the screen, so I'm looking right at the camera. So, key, we got one guy. We got one guy at top, and we got one guy at each wing, right?
Correct.
And then we got two
And you have two
defenders.
defenders like in the middle right here, like
And then
this, right there.
what are you instructing the defenders to do? Are you telling them like go wherever you want, try to get the ball? Are you trying to are you telling them to like man up? Are you trying to tell them to play like a loose zone? What is it?
Go after the person who has the ball. Strategically,
both
you
of
have
them?
to, huh?
Okay, so both of them are going towards the person with the ball.
Not both of them, but that's where strategically you have to go in. So every time, so let's say you whip it to the wing, they run that way. If the other one is smart, he'll stay over here. But the ball keeps moving, and the two defenders have to make a decision. And mind you, that's why you put the clock on, because it works in both favors. You know, but maybe with 2 seconds left, if he runs up on him, he gets it in. If the buzzer sounds, the defender wins.
Okay. And does it matter for the offense whether it's a shot or a layup, or is it just the best?
No,
best?
just a shot. Just a shot.
Okay. And does it have to be a minimum of 3 passes, or is it as soon as they can score?
As soon as just keep moving the ball. What you want is in those 15 to 20 seconds, you want to get the open shot. And that's what teaches them. You ever heard somebody, when you play basketball, say, if they're on the wing, say, one more.
Yep.
That's what that drill is for. Because a lot of times, if you whip the ball, the defenders are going, and if the defenders stay still, you still win. So it's a great drill. Try it. It's a great drill.
Okay, so where do you see this? What I'm having my guys do is in the beginning, just as like a warm-up, 3 guys, same setup, but no defense. So one guy up top, one guy at one wing, and another person at the other wing. Mm-hmm. And the guy on top, he'll take one hard dribble towards the basket, and then he'll dish. And the person he dishes to is also the area in which he's running. And the second guy who catches it on the wing, he takes one hard dribble towards the basket and he dishes it to the guy on the other wing. So it's like dribble, drive, replace.
Right.
Okay. So do you find that's like a basic drill?
Yeah, that's called motion.
Okay.
That's what it's called, motion.
Okay, so it's something that you would have. What's the youngest age group you would teach this to?
4th grade.
Okay. What are some, again, no secret?
And just so you know, when you dribble handoff, it's called outside shoulder.
Okay.
Remember, use that term, outside shoulder, meaning, see, if I'm dribbling, do a dribble handoff, I'm turning this way because the defender's behind me. So what happens is if it's outside shoulder, you can dribble handoff to the offensive player, and then the defensive player can't get in between. Right. If you do it inside shoulder, you're facing the ball to the defender. So I use the term outside shoulder to the kids to explain to them. And I stop them. And look, when they do not turn outside shoulder, stop them right away. Okay, so that's another one. In terms of dribbling, would you have all players, whether they're bigs, wings, or guards, all work on dribbling? Every single basketball player should know how to dribble the basketball. Okay. There's no way that, back in the days they say, well, I think we talked about this before. Like when kids talk, they say, hey, I'm a 2 guard, I'm a point guard. No, that changed. That changed. You're a basketball player. You're a basketball player. So basketball players have to dribble, shoot, defend, rebound. So you have to forget about that 2 guard. Of course, a 7-footer you're going to put down low as a center, but Kevin Durant's 7 foot, and he dribbles like one of the guards. So Anthony Davis shoots like a guard. You know what I'm saying? So forget that. I'm a point guard. I'm a power forward. I don't use that terminology anymore. You're basketball players. So to answer your question, yes, I would have the people dribbling some simple drill. Everything with dribbling is fingertips. Fingertips. So I'd have a ball in my right hand and just have the player dribble off the wall, bounce off the wall, and catch it off the fingertips, off the wall. And then you blow the whistle, right? And then he'll bounce it and he catch it with the left hand. Do it 10 times, blow the whistle, right hand. And it's going to be some kids that are not coordinated enough. It's going to fall, it's going to this and that. And what you want them to do is, it's all like when you're shooting, on your fingertips. There's you should find this because you're good with computers and stuff. There's a thing, and this is all I show all kids. I think I have it. I'll send it to you. It's a guy with an image of a hand, right? And it's a basketball image, and in the middle of his hand, it was all dirty, and his fingertips were clean. And he said, "What's wrong with this picture?" And I responded, "He's not dribbling the ball right." See, it was a great picture. So your son or daughter goes outside and dribbles the ball. If they come home and their palms are dirty, because every basketball gets dirty, you know how that is.
Yep.
If they come home and their palms are dirty, they haven't did something. All 5 fingertips should be dirty from dribbling that ball if you do it with your fingers. Even with shooting. Even when you're shooting. You don't shoot with your palm, you shoot with your fingertips. So I encourage that with dribbling with kids, little off the wall drill. You know what else you can do too? You can have even something simple as taking a piece of tape, right, and putting an X on the gym floor here, on the gym floor there, right, in front of the child, and have them just say, "I want you to dribble this way to the X, that way, like this." You're just going like that, back and forth, and that X they'll zero in on. But they don't realize that they're actually training. Little simple things. If you got 10 kids, you put 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, all those X's on it. You say, all right, I want y'all to dribble to the X. 1, 2, 1, 2. Fingertips only. And you're walking around the gym making sure that they're not using their palms. If they use their palms, you stop them right away.
Okay, so for shooting and passing and dribbling in general, ball control, fingertips are what you really want to use when it comes to that, the fineness of, I guess, the having the touch for passing and shooting. What I was having my guys do is I set up cones, and I was basically having them do different drills around the cones with the basketball, and the cue was fingertips, eyes up. So whatever way I was instructing, sometimes I would give them 2 balls. I have staggered dribbling. Sometimes I have consistent dribbling, and then at times I had them come and weaving through the cones backwards. But it was fingertips and eyes up. That was those were the cues I was giving them. Yeah,
fingertips and eyes up all the time. And then what you do is you give them some, even though you give them criticism at times, you give them praise at times too. So if a kid, let's say you take a headband, you put it around his eyes, and you tell him dribble through your legs 5 times. And if he does it without messing up, you take it off, you say, you didn't see the ball, right? Yeah, so why do you look at the ball when you're dribbling? You just prove to me that you can dribble the ball without looking. Then the kid, oh, yeah, you're right. So do it. You just did it. So a lot of times as coaches, we have to give them that extra confidence. And coming from a coach, when you're the coach, that's the world for them,
Now, that makes sense because I used to teach English, and in teaching, or I guess in teaching in general, you never want to keep breaking them down or being overtly negative, right?
No.
You want to build that confidence and then sometimes take them down a notch or give them some constructive feedback or criticism. But if you're always overtly negative, it's not good.
That's not good at all, because you got to remember something. To me, I kind of feel like a coach is an entity of a parent. You know what I'm saying? We're not their parents, but while they're in our care, we have to take care of them as parents, which is fine. So parents are not always going to go down on it. They're going to build them up. And then some kids, unfortunately, respect their coaches more than their own parents. And that's another topic. But the point I'm trying to make is we're mentors. We're here to build them up. Tell them when they're wrong, tell them when they're right, but we're also here to guide them. We can't guide them if we're always degrading them.
I think that's very, It's very insightful.
Huh?
I said that's very insightful because I've had this conversation with someone else in terms of the role a coach plays in a player's life, and specifically certain players who have maybe problems at the home or come from a single family household. You see how important the coach is in that student's life or in that player's life.
And just today, I trained today, and there was this kid I had, one of my favorites, Jake, and he was hitting every shot in practice. The other day, every shot in practice. We played a game. He couldn't buy a basket. And, kids, one thing about kids, I love them because they're brutally honest. They're taught all this negativity. So he comes to me, he misses another shot. He was like, Coach, I'm just no good. I just can't do nothing anymore. I said, what are you talking about? You don't remember in practice? What are you talking about? I want you to think like you thought when you was in practice. Now it's a game. You can't shoot. Don't think like that. No, but I said, no, you can't say that because you yourself made every shot that you hit in practice, didn't you? Yeah. I said, so that shows you can do it. So don't say that. Don't say that no more. And then he got encouraged, and he was lights out today.
Wow.
And then even though he was lights out today, some coaches would have yeah, but you saw like crap the other day. You can't do that. what you got to do is you got to say to him, see, what did I tell you? Now you won't get down on yourself no more. And then he put a big smile on his face. And then his mom called right after that and said, what happened? What happened? He said he was happy. He did great. What happened? I said, all he did was play ball the way he's supposed to play. And she was like, oh, great, great, great. So those are the things that you have to do with the kids and even adults. I mean, people like to be pushed. People like to be praised, of course. But, I mean, don't get me wrong. If they travel all the time, if they do something wrong all the time, you can constructively criticize them. But after you criticize them, tell them something good that they can do behind that. Like, for instance, I always tell kids, all right, if you're not having a shooting good day, so what? Rebound the ball. Steal the ball. Play better defense. So even if your shooter's not there, there's always something that you can do in basketball. So I'm a person where I'm not, when I coach, I'm a good mentor. I don't really like the negativity part because, nowadays, with bullying and all this other stuff. So you really want the kids to open up to you, to feel comfortable with you, because we as coaches and mentors have to make sure that these children, have the right guidance. And I'm not taking nothing away from no parents. I'm not trying to be nobody's parent. I got enough kids. But the point I'm trying to make is when they're in my care, I just want to make sure that they feel comfortable and I'm keeping them engaged and encouraging them to be better kids. That's all.
Random question on that note. So do you find, and this is just a random thing that came to my head, for me, like on the defensive side of basketball, you have to be a dog, more of a dog than on the offensive side, because in today's game, the offensive side is given an advantage, right? So
right.
On the defense, you have to have that like dog mentality to stop or shut someone down. Do you find that if you have a team or you have players who are not dogs defensively, they're not guys who just want to get it, but now you talk about the mentorship side where you build them up, you're like a parent, you're a good mentor, you're a good coach, you're positive. Do you feel like then you can kind of try to instill the dog within them, or there's no correlation?
You can't really instill the dog in them because that's within. That's part of their character. You can't, but you can instill the fundamentals on how to be a dog on defense. Does that make sense?
Sure. So, give me some examples of the fundamentals.
So, defensive slides where you pivot this way, you pivot that way. So you would pivot, use it again. You can put tape on. Take the slide one way, pivot that way. Slide one way, pivot that way, all the way down the court, and you challenge them. Again, I'm a big stickler for the clock because I got that from the NBA. But they use the clock for everything. This drill's 3 minutes. This drill's 5 minutes. So what you do is you challenge them. Listen, I need you to do that pivot slide down from this court to that court in 12 seconds. If he does it in 8, that's a great defender. So now you go to his head. Listen, you don't have to have the dog in you to be a good defender, but I need you because the defense is you want to beat the player to the spot where they want to go. So listen, now tell him, listen, you just got down that court in 8 seconds, sliding and pivoting. I'm putting you on the best player. What? No. You know why? Because you can keep up with him. And that's all I want you to do. So that's how you could train them how to be a dog because it's a characteristic. You know what I'm saying? It's something that's within. Either you have it or you don't. Now that doesn't mean that you can't get that athletically. But when I know what you mean by it, like for instance, let's use somebody in the NBA. Who's a great defender in the NBA?
Right now, or
right now, yeah. Like Patrick Beverley. Patrick Beverley is a great defender, but he has that dog in him. He has that dog. He gonna get in your face. You know what I'm saying? Brogdon from Indiana is a great defender, but he's passive. You see the difference?
Yeah, Jimmy.
To me, I'm a Patrick Beverley type of guy.
Yeah, Jimmy Butler's another dog.
And Jimmy Butler's another, but he's like more on the Patrick Beverley side.
That's what I mean. Like he's more.
But that's what I'm saying. But I would still take a Brogdon to play some defense too. That doesn't mean that Brogdon, he doesn't have that demeanor, but he's still a good defender. You know what I'm saying? He's
got the athletic prowess. He's got the understanding of the fundamentals, but he's just not like a tenacious pit bull.
Right. I'm more like the Jimmy Butler, Patrick Beverley type. But that doesn't take nothing away from another great defender. It's just that. But I know that was a good question you asked because you don't have to have the Patrick Beverley or the Jimmy Butler dog in you to be still. That's why I said teach them the fundamentals on how to be a defensive dog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, random question, and we'll go back to one last defensive key. So I mean, for me, like when I look at my all-time greats from the '90s onwards for defense, I like Rodman.
Mm-hmm.
As a big defender, I like Ron Artest. I don't know what your thoughts were
Mm-hmm.
on Ron Artest in his prime.
Mm-hmm.
Bruce Bowen on the perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how I like Bruce against like strong guards on the block, but definitely on the perimeter, he was a good defender.
Mm-hmm.
What's your thoughts on Jason Kidd as a point guard defensive?
He was, you know what got Jason Kidd over a lot too? Because he was, you don't know, Jason Kidd was a big guard.
Yeah, so like 6'4", maybe
6'4". I think he was a great I think Jason Kidd was a good defender because he used his body well. That's a good analogy.
Who are some of your top
I can tell you a story about Bruce Bowen.
Okay.
I think we was LA All-Star. Yeah, it was LA All-Star, and he was a great defender. So I asked Bruce Bowen, I hope kids are listening to this. I said, Bruce, I always wanted to ask you this because you're a great defender. They called him dirty, I don't think he was dirty. I said, how would you guard Steph? How would you guard Steph? And he told me, he said, you know what the problem is with everybody? He said the problem with everybody is they're so scared of his dribbling skills that they step back on him. Bruce Bowen told me that he would be up on Steph. Yep. He said if he guarded Steph, he would be all in his face and I said, yeah, but what about all the razzle dazzle? He said I would just have to move my feet. But I wouldn't. He said he wouldn't give Steph no room if he was guarding Steph. He said he thinks that's what defenders do wrong with him. I was like, and then I started looking, and it's true. Steph has a lot of room to move because they're so worried about the dribble. But Bruce Bowen told me, look to my face. He said, and he actually demonstrated, like he said, I would have a hand on him, and I would get on him where he wouldn't be able to set his feet. So I would be leaning on him. And he said, look at my long arms. I was like, wow, thank you. So my all-time defenders would be Bruce Bowen. This is not in order. This is not Sidney Moncrief, Bruce Bowen. Let me think. Defense. Michael Cooper. Michael Cooper played some good D. Michael Cooper. Akeem Olajuwon from a big man standpoint. Yeah, great. He was no joke. And I'm gonna say the Oak man, Charles Oakley.
Interesting.
And Charles Oakley, because Oakley would guard. You know what I'm saying? Oakley, that was 5. I could throw Chris Paul in there too, because Chris Paul. I remember that series where he guarded Durant.
Yeah, he's a tenacious. He's also another like dog.
Yeah, he's a dog. So I would go with them, and of course, all due respect to Patrick Beverley and Jimmy Butler and all of them. But I'm saying I would love to see like Sidney Moncrief guard Steph now because he was a great defender. I watched him growing up. Michael Cooper was a great defender. And of course, Bruce Bowen, he's on my list because Bruce Bowen, Kawhi Leonard's up there too, though.
Yeah, he's Kawhi. Kawhi for me, Kawhi's. Again, I'm a Spurs fan, so I remember Kawhi's rookie year, and I have like an eye for this. So I said when I saw him play defense, and I remember when they played against OKC, I said, man, this guy has potential. He had no offensive showing at all. He didn't really get any plays run for him. He wasn't really doing anything on the offensive side. Maybe he would get like a rebound here and there, offensive rebound. But on the defensive side, you could see very early on that he had some dog in him. But for me, Kawhi's long. He's strong.
Yep.
He moves his feet well, and fundamentally, he knows like how to move, when to reach. Like I'm sure, like sliding and pivoting and all that, he probably does very great.
Absolutely, and he uses. You know what? If you notice, defenders, 1, move their feet well, and 2, always have their hands somehow on you.
Right.
Always look at all the defenders. And that's kind of frustrating. That's like when Kobe used to do the back down like that. He used to always like throw an elbow because defenders you want to disrupt the routine.
Right.
You want to disrupt their routine. You want to make them work for it. You want to disrupt everything, and that's Kawhi's great at that. He really is. He's good at that.
So give us one more basic thing that you would do for defense for young guys. So you talk about sliding and pivoting. What's one other thing you would work on defensively, and then we'll call it a night.
One other thing that I would do on defense would be I have these things like those you ever see people play flag football?
Yep.
And they have those strips on the side. But what I would do is, when you play in defense, you have to look at everyone's waist and their belt buckle. So I had these tear-offs I had these tear-offs, and I would put those same tear-offs in the middle of the person's belly, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have them slide down the court together, and the person playing offense can't let him snatch that. Because the moral of the story is you want the kids to look at their waist. So train the waist can't move. You can make all the fakes in the world. You can do all the pump fakes in the world, but you want them to zero in, look down, and just zero in on the waist. Don't look at their face. Don't look at the ball because the waist is not moving. That's another drill. That's a great drill if you can get those. And then before you know it, the kids now it's kind of programming the kids to look at their waist because they're doing like the flag football, like the flag football strips, and it worked. Because I remember one time we was in a huddle and he was like, "We can't guard him." I was like, "Act like he got a flag football. Act like we do the flag football drill." And then he stayed with him. He was like, "You're right." I said, "Just look at his waist. I'm telling you, follow his waist." So that's another good drill that you can have. And if you don't have to get as fancy as I got with the flag football stuff, but you would just make it a point to tell the kids as they're sliding and moving that you want to zero in on the waist. That's what you want to look at. The midsection, like right there.
Well, yeah, like they say, the old saying is the hips never lie, right? So when when you see the shifting, you know that they're going to go particular. Yeah, that's the way I used to play defense. I would always, I don't know who said this as like a kid, as like a middle schooler or high schooler, but I remember I would try to take whatever advantage I could, right? So I would always stay on my toes. I would always use my hands as much as I could. And then I would watch the person's hips and even try to direct them in a particular direction. So like, for example, if a player I knew was left-handed, I would shift. So I would give the preference to his left side. So he try to force him as much as possible.
Like one more thing about defense, then we'll stop. Like there was a time. Let's picture you have 3 kids, like in a circle, and they're all in the paint, right? And the defenders are there, right? It's about spacing too, and this is defense. I would stop them. Stop. And I say all the defenders. Let's say it's 3 defenders. I say all the defenders, put your hands out like this. I would say put your hands out like this. And if all the kids are there, offense and defense, I would say, look at the ball. It's 2, 4, 6 hands right here. This ball should not get through. Look. And look at his spacing. The guy you're guarding is right next to you. The guy you're guarding is right next to you. So initially, you're guarding 2 people. So with defense, I would say that's why you got to keep your hands spread. Look, everyone spread their hands out. And then I would tell one of the kids, try to throw that ball to him that way. And at least 3 or 2 hands will hit it. You know what I'm saying? So you would teach them, look, if you keep your hands out at all times, you can get a deflection. You can get something. You could make an errant. He can make an errant pass or somebody else will steal it. So those are the things, you want them to keep their hands out because defense is hard. So people can get lazy. You want to keep your hands out at all times. You want to. When you don't have your hands out, it's an advantage.
Oh, yeah. Player. You got to take up as much space as you can. Why not use
exactly?
Why not be an obstacle to the ball moving, and instead of giving someone like a free entry or free pass? So that makes sense.
Exactly.
Coach, today was a long day, so we're gonna call it a short one tonight. Okay. But again, thank you for your time. That was very insightful.
Oh yeah.
And we'll let the audience know next week when we're having someone else on the show. We might even have, without revealing anything, we might have a show over the weekend or maybe early on Monday. Yeah. And we'll keep everybody posted and updated on that. So, and otherwise, Coach, thank you for being here, and then we'll see everybody next week.
Absolutely.
All right, Coach, just stay here 1 second.